Happy Thursday, everybody. It is a much warmer day today here in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank God, because yesterday I thought I might actually die. One of the things I love about Georgia is the fact that we typically do not have freezing cold winters. My blood is extremely thin, and I can't handle cold weather like this. And it was 13 degrees yesterday. There's a reason I don't visit places like New York. And although I did not think that Texas had the kind of weather that they've been having recently either. So I'm not sure what's going on in the world. I'll keep all thoughts and comments to myself. But happy Thursday. So glad that all of you are here with me. I would love to hear from you. Tell me where you're coming from. We've got a lot to go over in the show today. So I appreciate you tuning in. See, one of my favorites already showing up. I'm here. You stand up as well. I love it. Thank you, Bueller. Hey, that's my favorite. So, what is everybody up to on this happy Thursday? I can't believe that we are already halfway through the month of January. I feel like we just entered into 2024 and we're already halfway through the very first month. So, let's dive straight in. I want to start with the local news as always. So, let's take a peek here. We've got a few things going on around the suburbs of Atlanta here. Braselton Highway is set to begin construction. So they actually have been talking about this for quite some time. They have started construction on widening 124. This is Braselton Highway. And this is going to be the expanding it to 4 lanes, which needs to happen because traffic over here can be horrific. However, if you live in the area or take this 124, which is one of the main highways of that area, this is going to be a problem. But they have been working in this area for quite some time. I'm wondering if they're ever going to finish up. It's kind of like Highway 285. It's just never ending. Where are SPLOST dollars going? Right here. So keep in mind that this area is going to be seeing some additional traffic. So if you work in this area or live in this area, this is something you're going to be seeing. Maybe try and go around it if possible at all costs. So then looking over here, some of the developments in Johns Creek. So I was just in this area the other day. If you were in our live last year, then you probably heard me talking about this. I actually did a YouTube video and we talked about this as well. Johns Creek is one of the first areas in the northern suburbs to be developed. And so they have an older, downtown area. Their downtown isn't really even considered what I consider like a city center. So last year it was decided they're going to completely overhaul what's called Tech Center over there. And they've got this massive project that they're working on. And as I drove down McGinnis Ferry, I could see where they were kind of plowing through, clearing land. They're making some major headway in this, but it's going to be really awesome when they're completed with it. Because you can see here, this is going to be like a whole new shopping area. There's going to be a lot of land that's going to be there. There is already a big pond that has a walking trail around it. They're going to try and keep that in place. Then there's also going to be a lot of condos and things that come available with this as well. They're trying to make it very similar to a lot of the ones that you've already seen, where it's got shopping, retail, restaurants on the main floor, and then up above, they're going to be having some different, condos, apartments, things of that nature. And that is also, Tech Center is still going to be in that area. They're really trying to make this more of a walkable area, because right now, if you live in the suburbs, you know that we don't really have a lot of walkable areas. And so that's where a lot of these city centers have come in. Sugar Hill, Buford, Cumming has one now, Swanee, obviously. So all of these, smaller suburbs are trying to come up with a little bit of walkability factor, because when Atlanta was completed, Atlanta as the city is very walkable. However, when you get out to the suburbs, you really do not have the option. You have to own a car if you're going to be going anywhere. And so having something like this is going to be a really great addition to Johns Creek, and I'm super excited. Who doesn't want more shopping? I know I do. When they built Avalon, which, God, it's been quite some time now, but it feels like it was just yesterday. That was one of the first, outdoor malls that had a lot of the condos and things above, which was amazing. So you can see it says here, Collie Creek Park will include a 5K rubberized trail, lighted sport courts, lighted grass and synthetic turf playing fields, pedestrian bridges, and river overlooks. So this is going to be another addition to something that they've been working on. This is pretty much almost complete. So there's a little bit that they're still working on. This is also in Johns Creek, but I went through there the other day. These sports courts here are pickleball. They're very, very nice. And then it does have some amazing trails through there. This is over off of Bell's Row. So just some things for you guys to keep in mind that are going to be up and coming, working on. Like I said, Collie Creek is pretty much completed. They are still doing a little bit of renovation, but it's more to the parking lot and some other areas that they're adding on. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. So let's see what people are saying. Betty Air is just trying to stay warm. I am with you. It was brutally cold yesterday. I'm just not meant for that. Anthony, any update on that potential hockey arena near the Alpharetta area? That is a great question. So it is still up in the air. It has not been, finalized just yet. We're waiting to see. It's been voted on, and it's kind of been through phase 1, and it was voted yes in phase 1. So phase 2 is where we're at. And if it makes it through this, then it will actually come to fruition. And they're hoping that that will be finalized. That vote will be finalized within Q1. So we'll be able to know. And then the next thing is finding a hockey team, because we used to have one. And so I don't know. What do you guys think? Are we going to be able to put this back together? Because I loved when they were here. So we'll have to see what's going on. Yes, I apologize. I've got to say, the last time I was in the ATL Metro, that traffic was nuts. God bless you guys who do it every day. That's a fact. Traffic going into Atlanta is kind of a tough thing every day. So if you're having to commute into the city, that's why a lot of people that have to commute actually live in the city. A lot of people that are working in the burbs try to go in at offset hours, although nowadays, I don't even really know if there's offset hours, because to me, any time of the day that you're driving into the city, I'll tell you, Saturday, my husband and kids and I were driving into the city because we have a wonderful person who gave us tickets to see Cirque du Soleil, which is in the city in Atlantic Station. The traffic getting in was rolling right along, and I thought, we're going to hit this without having any issues. And then a car crash came and they actually shut down the highway altogether. We were thinking that we were going to be late, but we were just on time. So I had to just have the mindset of, I was thankful that it wasn't us in the car crash, and prayers go out to the family that was in the car crash. Thankfully, I don't believe anyone was killed, but there is never a day that traffic is not horrific when it comes to Atlanta. So looking on to some other things here, I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the things that we've seen over the past year that have kind of contributed to affordability, because this is something that I've been having people ask me about. Are we going to see affordability come along as we're starting to see, more houses come on? Are we going to see affordability? Mortgage rates is one of the things that has majorly contributed. It says, while there could be some fluctuations in the path forward, the general expectation is that mortgage rates will continue to trend downward as long as the economy continues to see progress on inflation. Well, that's the key factor, right? If we continue to see progress on inflation, but will we continue to see progress on inflation? That's something I want to hope that we're going to continue to see, but I can't say that I have full confidence, because one of the things that came out recently was that credit card debt is continuing to see an increase. So actually, we had a bit of an increase in interest rates. They started to come down quite a bit, which is a great factor. However, over the last week, we did see them trend upward. Now, it wasn't substantial, but it was an increase compared to everyone saying that we're going to continue to see decreases. I told you guys over and over that I don't think we're going to see a decrease in first quarter. We're coming off of Christmas time, which is always going to be a heavier buyer season. And with that, you know, the numbers don't look great. We're also seeing a lot of people that are starting to rack up credit card debt again. I hope that you're not one of them, because this is something that is just going to, bite you in the butt over the long haul. It's not going to set you up for financial freedom. It's not going to set you up to have good credit to be buying a home down the way unless you are consistently paying off that credit. One thing I let people know, it's not necessarily bad to have a credit card if you have the ability to be paying it off regularly. If you are just racking up debt and not paying it off, then that's where this leads to issues. So make sure that you're really keeping that in line. So let's take a look here. The other thing, and even a small change in mortgage rates can have a big impact on your purchasing power, making it easier for you to afford the home you want by reducing your monthly payments. We took a look at that on the live last week, what exactly interest rates can do to your affordability. It can make major changes. So at 2.5%, you may have been able to afford a $700,000 house. And at 7.5%, you might be looking at a $550,000 or $600,000 house, which is a massive change in your affordability. So keeping those rates in line is something that's really important. And I know the Fed is working to do. However, they do have to keep inflation into consideration. So let's all do our part in not continue to spend money that we don't have. Home prices. The second important factor is home prices. More inventory will be generally offset by more buyers in the market. As a result, it is expected that overall, the median home price in the U.S. will grow modestly. I'm going to jump into that in just a second, because looking at what the median home price is going to grow this year, I know a lot of people are fearful of this because we're already at such a high number because we grew so much in 2020 and 2021. We can't really afford to continue growing at an exponential rate because homes are already inflated, just kind of like everything. I know when I go to the grocery store or to the gas pump, it's a hard pill to swallow when you're looking at affordability, or I should say the lack of affordability. But one of the good things that I've noticed here and that they've brought in is wages. A positive factor in affordability right now is rising income. So we can kind of see here, we had this dip in 2020 because obviously the whole world went on a pause. But so if we're looking at this, the blue dotted trend line, you can see the rate at which wages typically rise, but on the right side of the graph, wages are above the trend line today, meaning they're going up at a higher rate than normal. And unfortunately, this is something that is necessary as we continue to see, rates increase, as we continue to see home values increase. The only way to bridge that gap is for wages to increase at the same pace that a lot of these are increasing. And unfortunately, this truly isn't even enough to make that happen. We're going to need to continue, Lord, I could not get that out to save my life, to continue to see wages increasing to bridge that gap. So hopefully we will continue to see that, because over here, this is one of the things that I wanted to show you guys, because I don't want things to come off when we say that you're going to continue to see home prices rising. I think a lot of people panic because over the last couple of years, things were really going at an exponential pace. Although 2023, thankfully, we did not see a decrease, but we did continue to see home values increasing. But if you look here, 2024, we're looking at a 2.35%. Now, keep in mind that this is national. So, there are some areas that we might see a decrease. But here in Georgia, we are looking at continuing to rise, even at a 2.35% rate. In 2025, we're looking at 2.7, 2026, 3.6, 2027. Oh gosh, that's sounds so far away, 4, and then 2028 looking at 4.15%. So we're still looking at increases across the board. So how does this affect you? Well, if you were to buy a home in 2024 for $400,000, by 2029, you're looking at a $72,000 increase. That gives you $72,000 in equity. Now, I don't know about you, but I could definitely stand to make $72,000 in equity because over time, that's just 5 years from now. That pains me to say because realistically, it feels like 2029 is so far away, but it's realistically not that far. And if I can make a rate of return on my investment of $72,000 and I could sell my home in 5 years and make $70,000 or more, depending on the area that you're in, I'll take that all day long because interest rates, if in there interest rates were to come down, I could always refinance to get a lower rate. However, if they stay at 6.5, that's not a bad rate. I know the average rate, even from the 1970s, the average rate is over 7%. So even if we stay in the sixes, we're below the national average if you look at the history of rates. So that's something to really keep in mind. Now, I want to go in and I want to look at Georgia specific, but let's take a look at some of the comments that you guys are leaving. I love the conversation going on. Oh, what a great show and an incredible gesture. How often do you guys get the property tax bill and would it be lower for a townhome? So the property tax bill is based off of the home and then it's also based off of the property itself. So if you have land, a lot of times it actually is not lower when it comes to a townhome because you're looking at townhomes that probably were built newer. And so that's going to be something that you take into account as well. We get the property tax bill one time a year. And so if you own your property outright, you would pay that bill at that time. However, most of us, myself included, have mortgages on our properties. And so what actually happens is when you're paying your mortgage each month, you are paying your property tax bill in that mortgage payment because escrow has already been taken out. Now, where this can change is, let's say that property taxes go up this year, you will get a note from your loan, from your, whoever holds your loan. Let's say it's, God forbid, Wells Fargo. They hold the note for your loan. If property taxes go up this year, then you will get a note from them saying your monthly payment next year is going to change. This year you were paying $1,500 a month. Now you're going to have to pay $1,550 to compensate for property taxes going up. Or you have the option to, let's say that you were, $2,000 short. You need to pay $2,000 because that's what taxes have gone up. You have the option to go ahead and pay that $2,000 out of pocket. And then your mortgage payment would not change. It would actually stay the exact same. I hope that made sense. If not, reach out to me because this is a question that I get a lot because homeowners will totally panic every year when they get the bill in the mail because they forget. And then, the county always sends you like, you owe $4,000 in property taxes. And people were like, what? I wasn't expecting this. And they call me and say, Ashley, do I have to pay this? No. If you have a loan and you've been making your loan payments and you're paying your, into that, you do not have to pay that. That's more the county giving you a heads up of, hey, this is what it's going to look like for next year. This is what you've been paying, all of those things. So like I said, if you have questions, definitely reach out to me because that's a really important one to make sure that you look at. No, I can answer that one personally. Anthony actually has a townhome and just went through that. So yes, he can definitely answer that one. Just paid $4,000 in property taxes on a 2,000 square foot townhome. That's definitely a hard pill to swallow. So darn it, I thought I could outsmart the system. Nope, no way to outsmart that system. I tried to dispute the value, but failed. So that is something else that you can do is you can dispute. So if you bought a home or you bought a townhome and you feel like the taxes are unfairly, unjustly increasing, you always have the option to dispute those. If you win the dispute with the county, then that will stay, the taxes will stay in place like that for 3 years. But you do have to come prepared. A lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, can you pull together some comps in the area to kind of show that the taxes are unfairly increasing. They're saying that my property is worth this, but if you look at the comps, I feel like this is where we are. So keep in mind that that's something that you can do as well. It's a blessing and a curse. You have more equity. So yes, that is something Anthony has thought about selling his home. And so if it shows that his property is worth more, however, if you're planning to stay there for the long haul, then you definitely don't want to be paying those higher taxes. Does a homestead exemption really help with property taxes? Absolutely, it does. So if you're below the age of 65, which I know you are, then you're going to be looking at doing a homestead exemption that would probably take off anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a year on those taxes. So it's definitely something that is worth having. Now, if you're 65 and older, then you get to have an additional exemption, which is the school tax exemption, which a lot of times is at least 50% of that tax bill. So when you hit 65 in the state of Georgia, you have a major break on those taxes. So make sure that you're keeping in line with that as you age. I know you've got a long time before you'll hit that, so we're not even going to worry about that. But if you're following along and you are 65, make sure that you are filing that because it's a huge deduction. Okay, so let's look at Georgia specifically, because one of the things that a lot of people have been asking me is, are we going to see a traditional spring market? Because here in Georgia, we definitely start to see an increase in activity in the real estate market when it comes in the spring. So April, we definitely start to see an uptick. By May and June, we're full-fledged into like our hot season of the market, because summertime here is always one of our busiest times. And a lot of people have been saying that if you haven't, bought or sold by August, then you're too late for this year. Do I believe that that's what we're going to see? Possibly, because the elections come in the fall and you tend to see a lot of people really pausing and staying still because there's just a lot of uncertainty when it comes to that. Now, I'm not going to get political, but let's take a look at Georgia specific to see what we have been seeing over the last couple of months here. So if you look at this trend here, we're looking at the sales price. We've actually come down just a little bit. So the average sales price, now this is for the entire metro Atlanta area. So we're looking at $371,000. You know what? Let's go in and let's just put in Gwinnett County. So that way we're not doing the entire, work with me here. There we go. So you can see we were at 417,000 in October, November. So as of December, we were at 419,995. But what I really want to take a look at is our new listings. New listings have been plummeting. In December, we were at a low of 633. So that's definitely something that we want to see starting to come up. Homes for sale, we're down to 1,523. Pending sales, also down. Why? Well, December is not always a great time to buy, but a lot of people are waiting. I've got a client coming in this weekend from New Jersey. I've got another client coming in next week from California. They're waiting to see, what is inventory going to look like. Now, closed sales, thankfully, we were going up. Days on market have also trended up a little bit. So we're at 23 days on market. Now that's still realistically in Georgia, that's still a pretty good timeline because average days on market is going to be around 31 days. So we're not even up to that. Now, one of the things that I've noticed that I'm seeing all over Instagram, I'm seeing agents on YouTube talk about is, we're going to be back into multiple offers. We're seeing, multiple offer situations where we're at a bidding war again. I'm not going to say that it's not happening in certain situations. We have seen it happen. it's never really gone away though in those certain situations. So I feel like it's a scare tactic, a fear factor that they're trying to instill. As rates start to come down, you need to be getting out there and you need to be, making a move immediately, or you're going to miss out on this market. And I just don't feel like that's the case. I feel like this needs to be an educated decision that you're making for yourself. And when you're ready to enter into the market, it's something that you should do at that time, after talking with your financial advisor, after talking with your CPA, after talking with your parents, after talking with a lender, a realtor, making sure that all of these things make sense and that it's the right time for you to enter the market. I met with a client yesterday and he was kicking himself. He's been talking about investing for probably the last, I don't know, 7 years. We actually met back in 2019 talking about investing, and he said, he just didn't feel like it was the right time. And now, obviously, looking at all of the growth that happened in 2020 and 2021, he's kicking himself. However, going back to that slide that we were just looking at, if you were to invest right here, if you were to invest even today, you'd make $70,000 roughly, on a $400,000 house over the next 5 years. So that being said, it is never too late to invest. I was reading another article that was talking about renting versus buying. And a lot of times renting makes sense. So please don't understand, or please don't misinterpret that. I'm not against renting. There are a lot of times when you move to a new location, or if you're between houses, or you're not really sure, what your next move is. Maybe you sold your home and you've got the cash sitting there and you just need a minute to think and have clarity for a minute. There are times in life where renting is good, but renting long-term is not. So someone that owns their home, or is, in the process of owning their home, obviously until it's paid off, you don't own it outright, but someone that is paying a mortgage compared to paying rent, the person that is the homeowner has 40 times the net worth of a renter. And that's because down the road, let's say I live in my home until I'm in my 70s and I want to sell this home and I want to go live into an assisted living. Well, all of the money that I have in this home that's been building equity over these years can now take me to that and pay for that assisted living, or can pay for me to be in needing healthcare, whatever it is. If you've been renting all of these years and you're not paying anything off, you have nothing to sell in order to then get money in return. You've been paying somebody else's mortgage. You've been making somebody else rich. And that's just not the way to go. So again, please hear me. There are times that renting is absolutely the best way to go. But long term, it's just not the thing to do. Generational wealth is created through real estate. And if you look at history, you can't argue it. So looking at things here, I do think, seeing the days on market and then seeing closed transactions, coming up a little bit, but not a ton, new listings, we are down. So hopefully this spring market, we will start to see some things come up. However, I do think we're going to see a little bit of a slow turn coming into the spring market. Usually we're starting to see things pop off, and we're just not seeing that right now. I can tell you that I've been having a lot of conversations with people just because that's kind of where I feel like I get my information. Yes, these graphs and charts are great to give us things, but I really want to talk to people and see, like, where are your heads at when it comes to real estate? And I've been asking some of the people, some of my clients, some are just friends, and a lot of people have said, I'm just kind of sitting on the sidelines. Like, yes, I want to do something, but I'm just kind of sitting on the sidelines to see where things are going to go. People, I can say, confirmed, they do have a lot more feelings of stability now than they did last year, with things going all over the place. But, there's a lot happening in the world right now as well. It's not just things that are happening in the US with the real estate market that are making them concerned. A lot of people are watching what's going on around the world and kind of just putting a pause on where they are. One of the articles that I found interesting, I was trying to find it again to share with you guys, but of course I couldn't, was that roughly 28% to 30% of larger homes, which is about 3,000 square feet or more, are owned by people that are 65 years of age or older. And it was talking about in the article how we really need a lot of those homes. And we've seen in the past where, when you get to 65, 70, you're not needing all of that square footage. You're not wanting to clean all of that square footage. And so you would downsize, and then that would make that home available to a younger family that's maybe starting to have kids, or maybe they have kids and now they're moving up. But we're not seeing a lot of seniors downsizing anymore because they just don't have a reason to. With interest rates where they are and home prices where they are, they could basically sell that home and buy a smaller home for the same exact price. So what's the purpose in downsizing? So that's an interesting take on things. And I think it's really going to be interesting over the next couple of years because we've got the baby boomer, group that is going to be actually exiting the market pretty soon. They're not going to be buying and selling real estate like they have been over the last, 50 years. So what is that going to look like? And I think it's going to be interesting. So yes, that's you're the young one here. Absolutely you are. What I realize is actually home prices are what sound really out of touch for young buyers, hence why renting may be a better choice. And in some cases, I 100% agree with you. I will say, though, that recently I've gone and I've looked at some of the newer condos that are right down here in Sugar Hill and in Swanee. Now, I will tell you, they're absolutely beautiful. They're beautiful apartments. Their walkability factor is great to some of the shops and restaurants that are right there. So I love that about them. However, for a 2-bedroom, it's astronomically priced. My husband and I rented when we first got married, and I can tell you we were not paying anything close to what that is. And we had a 3-story townhome when we started out. So for me, I would much rather, and this is a personal thing, however, I'm all about making my money make money. So I can tell you without the shadow of a doubt, if I was young again and I didn't have kids and I didn't have a husband, or maybe I had just gotten married, it was just the two of us, I 100% would be buying a duplex or a triplex or a quadplex, and I would be living in one and renting out the others because I would be making my money make money. Because while these people are paying me rent, I'm also getting the equity that my own building is, creating. So I get that renting is an option if you feel like you can't afford or you feel like you need to save up. But the moment that you can save up, and there are products that will help you get into that first investment property, that's definitely, in my opinion, the way that I would go about it. It's just going to make you make sense. I'm trying to look out for the people. I am Mama L. Thank you. Yes, I have kids, and that's how I'm building wealth for them. I hope that when they get to college age, I'm able to have a property that I can either give to them and they can keep renting it and make money, or they can take that, home, sell it, and they can, pay for college that way, or, maybe they live in it. I don't know, but it's a tool that you can use to build wealth. Are you still seeing a significant number of institutional or corporate investors out in the market buying homes? So that's something that has actually changed. We're not seeing as many large institutions. Actually, one of the institutions that was buying up so many actually just laid off a ton of people from their company. So I think that's something that we are seeing put a pause. I know the government was actually talking about, ways that they could put a pause on it. I don't really think that they can. However, it's something that they've talked about, but we're not seeing the influx of investors, not seeing the competition. A lot of the homes that I've been running offers on, if we have had multiple offers, it has been with other people, not with corporations or investor, opportunities. So that's been a really big positive. I am Gen X, or I think I am. I'm 40. I'm getting old. Best advice ever. Wish I could turn back time as well. That's exactly what I would do. Well, I think all of us wish we could turn back time and do the what ifs, right? But that's why I say looking at that, I keep bringing it up, but even if you bought something today and then in the next 5 years you make $70,000, or if you hold on to it longer, you're even making more. And I know a lot of people say, well, what if a recession happens? Well, what if a recession does happen? Look at the people that were able to hold on to their properties through 2008, 2009. Those people that did not make poor financial decisions to begin with and buy a home that was too much for them, the people that were financially stable, they bought a home that they could afford. They weren't house poor eating ramen noodles and PBJs, which there's nothing wrong with that. I eat them. However, I don't want to eat them every day, or I want to know that I can go out. The people that were financially smart kept their homes in 2008 through 2012 when we had the recession. And now those people have made over $100,000 or more in many cases since they were able to hold on to their homes through that. So yeah, you might go through a recession, you might go through a hard time, but if you were financially smart to begin with, you're going to ride that out and you're going to be making bank on the other side. So don't let the thought of a recession make you not move forward in purchasing if it is the right time for you to step into the real estate market. So, Anthony, I know I played it in my head, right? I wish I just had one of those buttons where I could play that, but at this moment I don't. So I will get off my soapbox tonight. I appreciate you guys tuning in so much. It's always great to have you on, and I will see you guys next Thursday at the same time, 7 o'clock. See you then.